I'm so excited to introduce him, and I'm so sure that you get value. If you have questions, note down your questions. Any question you have with regards to any area in English language, note down your question. Mr. Jato is going to be taking all your questions. You can see their comments, right? So someone said thank you, Mr. Jato. Yes, we have brought him on board today to share knowledge, insight, and everything you need to pass your JAMB. So I'll just hand over to Mr. Jato. Remember to keep your questions. We are going to be taking all your questions. You're welcome, sir.
You're welcome, Jen.
Yeah.
All right, students. It is fascinating being with you this night again. So, actually, just as it has always been, uh, try as much as possible and listen well. Because most of these questions, perhaps just like she had rightly said, you discovered that even with those who got better marks, I mean high scores in the UTME, you still have to see that the marks scored in English language is abysmally low. So you can always see people getting over 300, but by the time you look at the breakdown of the marks, you discover some of them still scoring maybe 50 or 60 in English. Oh, well, I didn't really, so I think it should be better this year. Maybe I want to see people scoring 90, 80 plus. I think that would be better. So, and if you are listening very clearly, you can ask any question. So now I'm going to take you through some aspects easily that can make you score better. The first of which is the comprehension passages. You know, it is quite discovered that most of these passages, after they are written, with about 600 or 700 words, there are some 5 questions extracted from those passages. Then you discover that in the marking, students do or candidates will later maybe score 0 or 1. So, which is abysmally low. And to amaze you, that comprehension passages carries most of the marks. So each correctly gotten comprehension passage question is about 3 marks. Now, that is huge. So if you are answering a particular comprehension passage, that is 15 marks at that. So you discover that most of the questions, after the passages are written, when the questions are asked, the options given, you see that are synonymous, that is, they are contained in the passage. So how do you easily go about that? First, you do is there's what we call skimming and scanning. So first, what you have to do is to go and skim the question because you have limited time, of course. So the time allotted may not actually give you enough to read most of those passages comprehensively and having to answer the questions that follow. So first, you go and skim those questions so that it will give you an inkling as to what you are going to read in the passages. And don't hand trace. By the time you are watching those questions or the passages, don't hand trace and don't head move. So because most of the time, these kind of attitudes do impede your understanding. So first, having scanned the question, then you now go to the passage so that you can see what you've got in the passage. Note that each paragraph contains a topic sentence. So there is a particular thing that will be discussed in a particular paragraph. So note, then we have some types of questions that do come. Of the 5 questions that will come, of course, you are going to have questions on the context. We call these kind of questions contextual questions. This is where, having read the passage, you can be asked what suitable title can be given to the passage. And in this, you can always see that all the titles given in the options are akin to the passage. So it isn't as if something that is very far from the passage. But of course, which one encompasses all what was said in the passage? That is its meaning. So most times you have you should be able to differentiate between major and minor points where something has been discussed. For an instance, I'm discussing pollution. Then it got to a point I make use of, I now give illustrations about types of pollution, maybe say for noise pollution, air pollution, and so forth and so on. So you now see that in the course of my asking the question that what suitable title should be given to the passage, of course, I'm still going to mention the word pollution itself, noise pollution, air pollution, factors that contribute to pollution. So most of these kind of things will now be what brings about some sort of pretty difficulties. So, and of course now, having done that, you should look inwardly into the in-depth analysis of what is discussed. So in this kind of question, mind you, especially the first and the last paragraph, they are usually interconnected. Whatever is written as the introduction will come again at the concluding paragraph. So
Sorry, let me hold you there, sir. Are we following, please? Please, let's listen attentively. Mr. Dacho is saying something that is really keen and that will help you in your English language session of your exam. Please, let's listen carefully. For example, what he just said now is when you're reading through the comprehension passage that you'll be given, there's a connection between the introduction and the conclusion.
exactly.
So instead of you wasting time really reading the full passage, you can read the introduction, then you read the ending, then you have an idea.
An inference, because you can easily draw the inference that okay, what does it infer generally in the passage? Because any correctly or well written passage, and of course most of these passages are write up or works of intellectuals. So maybe they are coined from some newspapers, some kind of academic work, project work. So there is no way these passages have not been written well. So and a well-written passage will have interconnection because there is introduction, which is the first paragraph. At the end of the day, again, the conclusion, which is the concluding paragraph, is going to be the summary of the whole write-up. So for you to be able to easily say you are picking an answer on what kind of suitability, what is suitable to the passage, that is the suitable title to the passage. So the connection can easily be seen. So if you can really understand what it was introduced and what later concluded it, so easily you can know when illustrations are made, because of course most of the other paragraphs like the second or third and so on, those ones will contain lots of illustrations, and most of these illustrations they can really distract you. So but if you have a very good connection with what it was introduced and what summarizes the whole passage, then you are going to get, it gives you an inkling as to the correct and suitable title to the passage.
Yes, somebody is asking what subjects are you teaching? We are taking English language.
So the use of
English language. So that you remember I told you last week that your English language is divided into different parts. You have comprehension, you have the oral, you have lessons and structure, different parts. So he is explaining comprehension, how you can
easily pick your answers and in a jiffy, because most times you see that the passages are the ones that really take most of your time. They cop your time much. So before you leave comprehension passage, you just discover that oh, you have just a few time to go. So those are kind of things that would deter most of the acing of marks there. So another type of question that will be asked is questions on the meanings, which is dictions. So of course it can be word meaning, idioms or phrasal verbs. So mind you, to every word there are two meanings, two major meanings. So but in the UTME, I think in any comprehension passage, what we need is the connotative meaning, because to every word we have the connotative and the denotative meaning. The connotative meaning is the contextual meaning, that is meaning according to the context, according to how it was used, not the meaning according to the lexicon, that is where the dictionary, which is denotative meaning. So at times when you are asked to pick a word or that is pick an option that has the same meaning with the one extracted from the passage. Of course, if I say, for instance, I say, Tolu, go and man the gate, and the word man is underscored. Now say, pick another word that can replace man as used. Of course, all of us know that man can be a male or masculine gender. So, but there's no, it's not possible for you to put male there as your answer to that can really represent man as used. So you can see different options, but of course how it was used there is guard. That is, you should go and guard the gate. The meaning for man there is guard. So, and of course, the same man can be used in other senses where I can say, okay, maybe, oh, Jane. Oh, Jane is always a man in situations like this. And I'll say man as used. That pick another word that can replace man as used. That Jane is a man in situations like this. Of course, would you say is a male, or and it cannot be guard as used in the first example. So in this context, it means Jane is courageous or bold. So as used according to the context now, you couldn't have said, okay, what is in the dictionary is what is going to answer directly. So this is where, and mind you, UTM is going to provide you with options whereby the denotative meanings will also be in the options. That is directly directly synonymous and opposite will both be contained in the option.
Please, are we understanding? What is your comments? I'm not understanding our comments on this video. Even me that is not writing JAMB, I'm getting value from what he's teaching.
So because some are still asking what
they say what subject, they don't understand. One say I'm tired. One is better open your ears and listen to what we are teaching.
We are actually
even me, I'm getting value. One of the things he just said now is, for example, when you are answering your comprehension passage, right? They can bring out a sentence from the whole comprehension, right?
Exactly.
And they will underline a part.
Yes, that is after they have underlined it, they say pick another option, pick an option that means the same thing as the one used in the passage. So in such kind of context, it is not as if you are going to look for the dictionary meaning. You are going to look for how it was used. So at times, even words that are synonymous, normally synonymous in English, may become antonymous as used. If I say, for instance, okay, yeah, I would like to buy that idea. I would like to buy that idea. And now underruled the word buy. Okay, that the word buy should be used. Then and I'll say A, purchase. That find another word that can replace buy as used. And I'll say A, purchase. B, pay for. C, steal. Of this kind of options now, or ordinarily, buy is synonym to purchase. It's a synonym. Pay for is also a synonym to purchase. So these three words are actually synonymous, but denotatively, that is according to the dictionary. But still, that should be the opposite. That should normally be the opposite of buy. Is now an answer here. That is saying you want to buy an idea is the same thing as saying you want to steal an idea. That is making use of it. So that's why the fact that they are antonymous, they become synonymous as used. So that's why most times candidates do not really know this. They start chasing options that mean the same thing. So what they used to know that, okay, the synonym of buy is always purchase. So and now the way I've used it is actually cannot answer. Say, oh, let me buy the idea. Let me buy the idea of that he has just brought. So when you are buying there, it does not mean that you are purchasing, that you are paying money to get. So it's actually, oh, let me steal the idea as well. So it means you are making use of, in both, it means you make use of the idea. So in this kind of context, that's what we call contextual meaning. Meaning according to how it was used. So that is why at times if some candidates or some kind of students ask that, what is the meaning of this? I will first ask, what, as in, how was it used? In what context was it used? So as not to give a wrong answer. So, okay, now by the time the context is brought, then that is when you can now choose that, okay, according to how it was used, this is the word that can replace it according to the passage. Make sure any word you are picking, any option you are picking, by the time you return it to the passage, it gets connected with the passage, not outside the passage. So
are we understanding? Please let me know in the comments. I really want us to get this point. If you understand what Mr. Jato just explained, please put it in the comments. Chuku said she's enjoying our session. She's saying good job, I'm understanding. Thank you, Chuku. We are glad that you are understanding what we're teaching. So please remember, like he mentioned, when you are giving a maybe they bring out a sentence from a passage for you to answer. And they underline something. I wish I had a marker here, would have written an example for you on the board so you really understand what we are explaining. So they bring out a sentence and they say, oh, give us another word
that can replace this as used. It is going to be coined from the passage.
Yes.
Maybe it can be a word, it can be a phrasal verb, it can be an idiom. And now say as used in the passage means what? You can say, oh, he has acted like a bull in a China shop. Then the whole a bull in a China shop, which is an idiom, could be extracted from the passage, and they will say, what does it mean according to the passage? It's as used. So you are going to read the environment of the passage where it was actually brought out, because it is not directly what is written, not as written is what is going to be the answer, but as used. That was why I used the word purchase and buy. For example, that is where they say, oh, for instance, if I say, I bought this yesterday, of course you can say I purchased this, which can really answer to that as synonymous. But in the case where I said, I bought the idea from my brother, I bought the idea from my brother, you couldn't have kind of replaced it with purchased. By the time it is given as a question, now say, oh, you can replace it. Would you say, I purchased the idea from my father? Because idea is an abstract thing. So it's not something that you can
see physically,
that you can hold, so it's not tangible. So from there, the person saying I bought the idea from my brother can easily still say I stole the idea from my brother. The stealing there does not mean physically got rid of it. So that is what we are trying to say here. So in every word meaning, phrasal verbs as well could be used. Also phrasal verbs, they do not really mean directly what the way they are written. So okay, all their plans later fell through.
Okay. We've been seeing comments. Some people say they don't understand, they are not following. Don't worry. What we need you to do is to listen attentively. Like Chuku has said, listen. When you listen, you follow our line of thoughts. It's probably because you joined late. So you're finding it difficult to understand where we are.
Yeah.
But listen attentively, follow us. I'm sure you're going to get it. Stay on the call. Listen, be attentive. If you have any questions again, please put. We'll make sure we are as clear as possible. Please go ahead.
So now that is like what I said. So it could be phrasal verbs, whereby it is not just word. You can say, oh, their plans fell through eventually. So fell through could be expunged from the passage, and you are asked, as used, what does it mean? So, and of course, it doesn't mean anything that fall maybe has to break or whatever. So maybe, but as used, because it is a phrasal verb, so it's not a direct word. So it actually means failed.
Somebody was
that all the plans fell through.
That if still is not there, can you use got for the example you were
Okay,
giving?
no. Still, the still here is
not this still. It's
STEAL. STEAL. So still there. STEAL, not the STILL. STEAL, which means maybe to rip someone of something. So, but ordinarily as used in that context does not mean the person actually stole it. It means yes, you can use got
the idea.
Got the idea, exactly.
Thank you, Jojo.
You can as well use got the idea. It's the same thing as stole the idea. The same thing is still bought the idea. So, but it cannot mean purchase the idea, because it is not something that is concrete. It is abstract. So that is good for that. Then the third type of question as well, we call it inferential questions. Questions on inferences. That is, what could you decipher at the end? So that is, here you could be asked, what notion is of the writer? That is the writer's notion. What do you think the writer meant by saying this? So of course at times they will say true, false, or not given. That is, having discussed a lot of things in the passage, then they come up with, okay, one of these is not true according to the passage, or one of these is true according to the passage. And of all the options you be given, you hardly would you be able to easily note which one is not true, because the whole thing will be paraphrased. So it's not something you can easily get. That is, the options you'll be given. So you must at this point read some context there, because there are some use of words that will be used that may later look confusing, especially when it comes to some subordinating conjunctions. like however, although, though, despite, in spite of. So most of these kind of short words at times will put you off. For instance, most candidates may not really, when the in spite of is used, that, oh, in spite of all odds, in spite of all odds, he came. So the word in spite of, if it is not well, if you are not well grounded with the norm, so it may disallow you from the proper understanding of what you are to say, if it is actually true according to the passage, false, or not given. So when it comes to inferences like that, so you should expect that in your comprehension questions, you are going to face most of these kind of questions. That is questions mostly on context. That is the contextual question, which is maybe suitable title or something that you really did not know was said in the passage but was there.
So let me make it clear. What you just said is in your comprehension passage, sometimes they might not give you the title of the passage. So they will ask a question. From your own understanding or from your own knowledge,
yes,
what title can you give to
the
this passage?
And they are going to give you, they are going to suggest titles. So you have to pick the best of these titles. So mostly you should be conversant with the fact that since they are going to have synonymous titles, because all the options will be in the passage. If you have been working on all your past questions, you are going to see most of these kind of things, whereby as to pick which one is not in the passage, because it's actually talking, all the options are talking about the passage. But of course, like I said, that is why you should not forget the fact that you must connect the introduction with the conclusion. So you should be able to differentiate between when a major point is made and a minor point, because I could have been discussing and I make something an illustration. The illustration is not the major thing I was discussing. For instance, I'm talking about, I say, oh, let us talk about the issue of divorces. Why do people get divorces these days? And I'll say, well, one of the reasons is the issue of impatience. Impatience having to do with, or maybe so and so. And I'll say, like yesterday when I went to court, that there now I had actually drifted from the major points. I've gone to the minor points. So at the end of the day, by the time I'm going to give you to form a suitable title, then you just discover that I will put both the illustration and the major points in my options from where you are going to pick. So that is why don't get lost at all by the time you are treating this. Don't get lost in the passage, because you have distractions, but of course you still have the major events discussed in the passage. So you can easily get this by having to painstakingly look at the first paragraph, which is the introduction, and also the summary, which is the concluding paragraph. So this will connect you with all that was discussed. Then also the issue of questions on meanings, like I said, it can be word meaning, it can be phrasal verbs, and it can also be idioms. So at times when it comes with all these kind of meanings, like I said, make sure, since we have about two major ways that words could mean, that is contextually, that is the way it is used, which is the connotative meaning. Also, we have the denotative meaning, which is called dictionary meaning. By the time you want to pick your answers, do not go for the dictionary meaning, because that is not as used in the passage. So there are some words you can easily see as bad words. For instance, I say, oh, if you ordinarily say, maybe, oh, that man is crazy. Let's say crazy, for an instance. That man is crazy. The way you are going to be looked at, because it is actually insulting. So that's why would you have said somebody is crazy? But the same crazy now say, oh, when it comes to statistics, that, oh, Dr. Ojo is a crazy statistician. So crazy there as used is not insulting. So it has better be used in a good way, in a complimentary way, rather than an insulting way. That, oh, he's a crazy man when it comes to this. So that is someone who is highly intellectual at so an expert at. So that is what we are trying to say. That first,
take the word back to the passage where it was used. Then look at the surrounding effect of the comprehension, the surrounding words used before you go for what can be used to replace it, because anything that you are going to pick must be able to go and replace whatever you have in the passage.
And when you read it to yourself,
When you read it, it will
sound
still sound well and
meaning.
exactly. So that's what I'm trying to say. So also, if it comes with phrasal verbs as well, phrasal verbs and idioms, the words are not directly the way they are written. So you couldn't have chosen something say, oh, is a chip of the old block, for an instance, that, oh, Kolade is the chip of the old block of his father's children. That's the chip of the old block as used there. So you can have options that will be talking about chips, or that will be talking about block, or that will be talking about old. But this is not literary word. This is just a literal sense. But in the literary meaning, which is the figurative meaning, which means somebody who resembles or take after the parents. That is the meaning
Chip
of the old block. And now you now come up with, is it chips or is it block? So and it has nothing to do with all the such words. They just come together. So because you have to be more literary here now. So as used, not the way it is written. So mostly with the options you are going to be given, you will see some that will be akin to the word chips, the word old, or the word block. So meanwhile, the normal word that is should be. So those are the kind of things you should do, you should expect.
Yes, and overall, right, with what Mr. Dato has said, overall is that you must really read and understand the question.
Before
Don't just jump. Maybe you see that they underline something, your head will just tell you, oh, this is the answer. No, read
you take it back to the passage. It is something that must, because it is wittingly written. So it is something that must answer the passage, the context of the question of the passage you read. So that was why I said, in the first place, to make it faster, you can easily go and scan and skim the questions, so that directly you, by the time you go to the passage, you can do that fastly. So that is why you can always scan the question, then you go to the passage, then that is the way you can make a speedy reading. Because ordinarily, if you say you want to read those passages, you are going to waste your time. So you may not really have much time for other subjects. Mind you, you don't have to up to a minute. You don't have up to a minute for a question. So if you are dedicated most of your time to answering comprehension passages, you still have other aspects as well to attend to. So because as you work with your intelligence, the brilliance there, you also work with time. So because you see many candidates, they will tell you, oh, I could have done it better, but there was no more time. So I say, oh, then definitely had you known it well, you really do not have to complain about time. So that is one thing. So
we can move to other parts.
okay. So the second one I would want to take is I would try to clearly explain is the register, which is closed passage. It is akin to these comprehension passages, but this one has to come with field language also.
Somebody says, sir, please speak on comprehension or summary. That's what we've been saying this morning.
We have been talking about comprehension. And mind you, you don't have summary in UTME. There will be no questions. Yes.
Oh, okay.
So WAEC, the summary and comprehension has to do with WAEC. But in JAMB, after the comprehension passages, we move to the closed passage, which is also known as register. Okay. And in this, we are talking about field language. You can still get most of your vocabulary notes. Okay. Words associated with crimes, law, and criminality. Words associated with maybe medicine and health. Words that are used when it comes to engineering and technology. Words that are used when it comes to agriculture, mechanization or this, because these are the things you do need. That is why it is one thing to be able to solve some questions in English. It is another to be able to use the normal language, the field language that should be used. For an instance, somebody who is talking about, or who is talking medically, you say, oh, the doctor said I have malaria. The doctor couldn't have said you have malaria. Rather, the doctor would have diagnosed you of malaria. So that, the doctor diagnosed me of malaria. That is until when you have spoken correctly. So
Yes, that's true. And a lot of times we just say, doctor said I have malaria. But it's not correct. Are we following?
Oh, yeah. I was given some
Okay.
drugs. I was given some drugs. They administer drugs. So I was administered some drugs. So
Yeah.
to use according to the dosage, the issue of patients. That's because the same person that is a passenger to a driver, the person is also a client to a lawyer. So you couldn't have, so a lawyer couldn't have been talking now and calls his client passenger or customer, because it should be a customer to a business person, a passenger to a driver, a client to a lawyer, a patient to a doctor. So unit must use to a teacher. So unit must use your field language.
Yeah.
So that is why by the time you are solving this aspect,
Yeah.
mind you, don't solve it one by one, because it's going to be a cluster of passage. Then they are going to expunge some words from the passage. Then you will now be given options from which to pick, which one should reflect the missing gap. You are going to be given.
Correct. Somebody give a suggestion. A complaint to a suspect to the police.
A suspect
to the police.
or a
That's
complainant.
to the police. Okay.
So exactly. So those are the kind of things. So you need must give the field language. So some words will be expunged from the total passage, the complete passage. Then you'll be asked to pick that, okay, in the field of crime now, so I was arrested and my vehicle got dashed. Your vehicle got dashed. They now say, hey, arrested, seized, impounded, infiltrated. So they are going to bring some words that if you are not conversant with it, of course your vehicle couldn't have been arrested since it's not a human.
Yeah.
Rather, it should be impounded. That's all. His vehicle was impounded. So that is the word that should be used.
Wow.
So for instance, so you
At this point, you have to clap for Mr. Jacko. Let's clap for him. Clap for him in the comments. I want to see. Clap. This is emoji. This is powerful.
Exactly. So that is what we also some could have really said, they spoke very well, but you have not really used the normal language. For instance, it's common now, people will say, you don't give me my respect. Of course, you cannot give respect. Respect is not given, it is accorded. That you must accord me my respect. That you should accord me my respect. So it should have been the word accord, not give.
Are we listening?
So
if you see such a question, they say, give him his respect. It's not give,
accord him his respect. So most of these kind of words, they have field language, field terms. So and they must connote with what is being talked about. What is going to be correct in agriculture may not be correct when it comes to the field of medicine.
Wow.
So that is why must really look at. So they want you to be able to choose the rightness of words that could be used for each of kind of structures. So that is the work of most of the registers. And by the time you are solving it, you don't do it word for word. Do it per sentence.
Let me understand this register, sorry. The register, is it that one where you have a full passage, but in that passage it says dash.
They will be numbering it 1, 2, 3, 4.
Yes.
So after the numbering, you will now see some set of options given. That is, to number 1 now, what should have been the word used in that gap? So which one should have really filled in there? That, okay, now, for instance, maybe I was talking about the issue of going to the hospital. I said, immediately I got to the hospital, the doctor dashed me. So there will be a gap there.
Yeah, that will be one.
That will be one.
Okay.
And later, through my symptoms, dash me of malaria. You now say in that one will be 2 again. So the first one where they say the doctor dashed me, you now say A. Number 1, A, examined, assessed, tested, investigated. So what should have been the major word that the doctor did? So of course the doctor examined me, Not the doctor tested me
Or
or investigated me. So the doctor examined me and through my symptoms later diagnosed me. Oh, this. So those are the kind of words. That is what
And this
we
always
have
comes
to.
out in JAMB every
You
year.
can't,
They must.
you
It
can't
must
do
come
without
out.
it. So immediately you have your comprehension, the next thing is the register.
Register.
So that is why with the time you see most of these kind of vocabularies that are akin to particular fields, you can still get them read and study. So it will do you a very good favor. So by the time you are able to put up some of them, you cannot but come across one.
Yeah.
And you have no excuse. Of course, you can be in the sciences, maybe writing biology, physics, chemistry, and the register you will be given may be talking about government. In fact, not even government as a whole, maybe talking about particular type of government, something that is abstract to you that you really would not know.
Yes.
So also those who are in art, writing literature, CRS, government, they may face registers that will be talking about geology, that will be talking about cave. So something they really don't know about. So, but you have no excuse, of course. That is why you need must still go in line with most of these vocabularies that pertain to those fields,
Wow.
so that you don't talk out of field.
People
So
don't know what the Rocky Dot is doing for you on this life. You don't know. Go and subscribe to our YouTube channel if you've not subscribed. Go and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Your exam is this week.
Exactly.
Mr. Jack, all these things that is teaching you here, we have already compiled it, made it into a video, and we posted it on our YouTube channel already.
In fact,
This one we are just icing the cake for you. And even me, I wrote JAMB 10 years ago, and I'm getting value for what he's teaching. Thank you so much, sir. We are so grateful. Please go ahead. We're enjoying it.
So then after that as well, I believe you must have read your selected test, which was given to you by JAMB and
Life changer.
the life changer. So the other one that poses a lot of threat most times, that is mostly contained in the lexics and structural aspect. Those are the Concord rules. So, and of course we have treated them in some of the videos, the rules of Concord. We have the general ones, especially you cannot but come across some of them, like the nearness agreement, proximity agreement, which is the use of or, but also no. That is immediately it is used when you use or, they are correlative conjunction, neither nor, not only but also. So the subject that is nearest the verb dictates the verb. For an instance, if I say Olu or his brother, Olu or his brother dash expected, it will be is, because his brother is a singular, the brother will be the one to actually determine the verb. So the fact that you have two names should not spur you to choosing plurals, because you are talking about either this or this. Then of course, had the brother been plurals, for instance, I say Olu or his brothers, there definitely should have been a. The brother is the one determining the verb there. So that is, it is the subject nearest the verb. So also the same thing with but also no. That is you or I dash to blame.
Somebody say I dey feel you.
You or I dash to blame. So
Yeah.
now say you or I dash to blame. I there is the subject nearest the verb. So it's going to be the one to determine the verb.
Wow.
You or I
Wow.
am to blame. So
Wow.
most of these kind of things you cannot but come across it. We have first subject agreement as well. The use of as well as in conjunction with alongside. When these ones are used, the first person you mentioned, it is directly opposite this nearest agreement. Nearness agreement. You know, in the nearness agreement, using or no, but also the subject nearest the verb, which is the last person mentioned, determines the verb. But in case you use as well as, alongside, with, in conjunction with, alongside, all these ones, the first person you mention will be the one to determine the verb. So that is now say the man with his wife, the man with his wife and children. So now say you should choose a verb that will coincide with that. The man with his wife and children is here. despite the plurality of the people
But
there.
it's not about three
It's a
people.
three
We said
people.
the man, his wife, children.
Exactly,
So
but
why
we call
did
it, there is a first joiner. The man
Ah.
with the word with is a first joiner. So it doesn't act like and. Had I said the man and his wife, had I said the man and his wife and children.
One person say which brand of car do you want?
Okay, what
Oh my God!
Anyone will do.
Please share this video. Share this video.
That's good.
Everybody writing down
You
must
can
hear
bring
about this.
Ferrari
Share
or
this video.
so
Please go ahead. Are we listening? The man with his wife and children. It should not be
it should not be
is.
it is.
Wow.
Because I said with. Had I said and, it would have been a true joiner. The man with his wife and children. So having used with, others are no longer true subjects. So the man is the only determiner there. So these are the kind of questions. Most times that is why it is not kind of surprising that people come up with low marks in English, because mostly they actually worked along with the mass kind of error. Call it mass error. It is a general error. What you see that is badly spoken here is also what you see elsewhere. So an incorrect English, an incorrect expression in Lagos will also be incorrect in Abuja, as also in other places. So we are very synonymous with most of these kind of mass errors. That is why we really don't know why the answers are the answers. And this is the most important aspect of it. You don't just choose questions, you don't choose options in English as you wish. There are reasons behind some answers that, okay, why is this not an answer? So that is what you have to look at. I think somebody posed a question. I always get confused when using the word was and where when a sentence of a verb is given. Okay, yes, was is singular. Okay, they are both primary auxiliary verbs. So was is a singular verb. It is the past tense of is. So
where? What is the past tense of is? Okay.
While where is the past tense of you say are. Where is the past tense of are? So are and is are in the present tenses, while was and where are the past tenses. So normally now, if you say, oh, he was there yesterday, you know that is a singular entity. He was there yesterday, but we were there yesterday, because we as a plural entity, then you should go with were. So, and you have the word yesterday, which actually talks about the past tenses, the past tense of so while is, am, and are the present tenses. That is they are primary auxiliary verbs.
Please, let's note down our questions, right? There's going to be a time for questions, but let's allow Mr. Jato finish all he has to share with us today. But please note down your question. When he's done, we'll be able to take all your questions.
So ordinarily, like I said, after that, we also have we have a measured entity agreement. Okay, because I really want to touch most of this kind of aspect whereby the options generally will seem confusing, where you are going to have a number of people or a number of things, and yet the answers are still singulars.
Wow.
So, and you had actually expected that you should have a plural. For instance, they now say 60 bags of rice. 60 bags of rice. That is a whole lot of 60 bags of rice. And now say was delivered to him, were delivered to him. So which one should be used? Meanwhile, since it's a measured entity, it's going to take a singular.
Wow.
60 bags of rice was given to him yesterday. So it's a measured entity. So irrespective of the plurality of the number there. So if I say, for instance, 10 million naira, you cannot say 10 million naira are too small. It is still 10 million naira is too small because you have measured it
already.
So the number does not really matter there. So Lagos to Abuja is about 500 kilometers. Also, that is a small journey. So you cannot say because you have 500 kilometers, you now say those are small journeys. So those are the kind of things that you should be conversant with that. Okay, since it has been measured, it doesn't really have to do with the issue of the number in essence, but it has been measured. So we also have when it comes to be natural names, especially natural names of businesses, ventures, or of a person. Someone can bear a compound name. It is still singular. So if you say your name is Joanne Ibironke Bridget, that Joanne Ibironke Bridget, the name is a compound word. It is still the same person.
Yeah.
So I'm still going to say Joanne Ibironke Bridget is around.
Yeah.
You get it? It doesn't really say, okay, that the fact that I've mentioned like 3 names, it's the same person. It's some person that bears the name. Or when I say, oh, Olu and Sons Nigeria Limited. Olu and Sons Nigeria Limited. That is the name of the business. So the next verb that must follow should be a singular verb. So, oh, Olu and Sons Nigeria Limited deals in agricultural materials. Deals in, which is singular. So you really cannot use plural because that is the name of the business.
Okay,
For an
so
instance,
Olu and Sons is a leading
exactly.
brand.
For an instance, you say the rock tutors. Look at the name, the rock tutors. So the fact that you even have the tutors with S, the rock tutors, you say where is it located? Okay, you cannot say where are they located because you are actually talking about the name of the business itself. So that is it. That is located behind slots. So that is why you have the verb is because it is a singular entity. So the fact that it takes a compound essence does not mean you have to go and choose a compound kind of verb.
Please, while we are digesting all this value that we've gotten, let's please share this link. Share this link for more people to join. Share this link for people to join. Remember to also subscribe to our YouTube channel and also give us a gift. Look at the down of your screen. You'll see gifts. Just gift us. Send us a gift. Send us a gift. People that are enjoying us, send us a gift and subscribe to our YouTube channel as well. I said keep dropping your questions. We'll answer all your questions when we are done, right? So stay on the call so you'll get to see the answers to your question.
Okay. So those are some of the items. So we also have some kind of agreement with maybe few, using few, a few, many. Okay, these are quantifiers. When you use few, a few, many, we use them for countable entities. Then we have little, a little, much. They are used for uncountable entities.
Wow.
So when you have the ones for countable entities, that is many, few, a few. Then the next verb should be a plural verb. So for an instance, many were called, but few were chosen. Many were called, that is plural, but few were chosen. You can see the instances where I use many, I use plural. Where I use few as well, I use plural. Many were called, but few were chosen. But if I go to use little, a little and much, they are going to go with singular verbs because we use them with uncountable. So that is the non-count entities. So, oh, much, to whom much is given. To whom much is given, much is expected. So that's why I put the fact that it has high degree. It doesn't affect the fact that it's going to be is. So many is countable, much is uncountable. So many will go with plural verbs, much will go with singular verbs because it is for uncountable. When I use many, I use the word plurals. Many were called. But where I used much, I use singular. Much is expected. So the same thing goes with few and a few, which is also for countable. So a few of the students are here. We can start now. Few of them are there, so we can really send them.
So what you're saying, sir, is that in your examination, when you're doing your English, anywhere you see many, you see few, few. What you follow it is plural. That's or where. Depends on the options you can see, right?
Okay.
But when you see something like
little, a little, much, they are used for non-count. That
please
is
don't put writing it down. Write it down.
They are used for uncountable entities, so they go with singular verbs. So take note of that. So that you know, because these quantifiers most times people don't get to really know the differences. Then also, even if you are using the difference between few and a few, in a few, it is still high in degree, more than few. Few is relatively low. So from few, you can no longer give anything. So, but if you still have a few, like I said then, I say, oh, a few of the students are here, we can start.
Yeah.
But had it been they were only few, I wouldn't say we can start that, oh, don't let us start because only few of them are here. So that is the difference. So the same thing also goes with little and a little. So that is talking about numbers now. So as to how they agree with the Concord, that is the verbs they should go with. So also we use the issue of percentages, quarters, half. When you use them with mass count entities, if you use percentage, quarters, half for mass count, it is going to take a plural verb. But if you use it for a particular entity, that is a singular entity, it is going to take a singular verb. For an instance, I say, oh, half of the workers have been paid. Half of the workers have been paid. The reason it is half there is because workers are countable. So it is mass count. Half of the workers have been paid. But half of the work has been done.
This is the case of has.
Has and have.
Okay.
So which is, and half is plural, has is singular. But I'm using the same half now, both as plural and as singular. So if I'm using it as plural, it is going to go with mass count. That is something that you are going to see the entity that it even has s. It is plural in nature. Half of the workers have been paid. Half of the workers there is countable. So we are talking about a particular number. But I now say, but only half of the work has been done.
So what you are saying now is has is singular.
Yes, why half is plural? So half is the past of both has and have. When you are using a plural entity, you use have. So for an instance, when you are using we, they, you, I, you use it with have. When you are using he, she, it, you use it with has. So So ordinarily the same have used now. So the work is uncountable. That is why it goes with has. Only half of the work has been done, but half of the people have been paid. The same thing percentages. For instance, you can say, oh, 70%, 70% of those students are here. 70% of those students are here. So which is plural entity there. But I now say, oh, 70% of the room, 70% of the room has been painted. Because a room is a particular entity, so it is one entity. So by the time you want to choose your answers, look at the preceding entity. Is it countable, which is pluralized, or the kind of a singular entity, which will not be pluralized? So if it is not pluralized, you should know the next verb is going to be a singular. But if it is pluralized, like where I use workers or where I use students, then you should know you are going to have a plural verb because I got them quantified with number, which is the largeness of the number. So that is about that. Then we also have some other entities that involve the use of a comma to separate most of the entities as well. That is talking about the same person, but I'm separating the characteristics of the person with comma, or at times using and. For an instance, if I say Dr. Ojo and Commissioner for Education, Dr. Ojo and Commissioner for Education, the next verb should be singular. So because it means Dr. Ojo is as well as the Commissioner for Education. So Dr. Ojo and Commissioner for Education is around.
Sorry, this one can be tricky, right?
All right.
Dr. Ojo and Commissioner. But when they say Dr. Ojo and
the commissioner.
It means it's two
It's
person, but when there's no D.
when there is no article D, if there is no other introducer before the second characteristics, then it means it is the same person. But if there is, for an instance, Dr. Ojo and Commissioner for Education is different from Dr. Ojo and the Commissioner for Education. So when you have article D before the second characteristics, then definitely they are separate entities. It's going to be Dr. Ojo and the Commissioner for Education are here. So it means Dr. Ojo is different from the Commissioner. But where you have just Dr. Ojo and Commissioner for Education, so it means Dr. Ojo is yet the Commissioner. So it is going to take the same entity, which is singular.
Yeah.
Then it can also, the same kind of question can be set using command rather than and. For instance, I say, Shola, the proprietress of Beaver School. Shola, the proprietress, Shola, comma, the proprietress of Beaver School is here because the proprietress is like describing whom Shola is. So I'm still talking about Shola. So it is still the same person. So that is why at times we can have candidates being kind of confused as to which is to be chosen between is this going to be singular or plural. Of course, it should be confusing because you have more than one person. So it may actually drive you to choosing a kind of plural verb. But you have to look at the structure of the sentence itself because you have just a person that is still being described. So it is still describing the same person. So it means it's going to take a singular
Yeah, thank you. Guys, like even me, I'm learning so much. I'm learning so much. We've learned about tenses, we've learned about comprehension, we've learned about register, we've learned about singular and plural verbs, right? One thing that I still have in my head is that he said is and are singular. Then was and were they are plural.
Yes.
Also, has and have.
Has is singular.
Have is plural. Then had is the past tense.
So when using it, you must make sure they align with what you are using them for.
Wow.
So if it is a singular entity, that is where you have as. Then for plural entity, that is where you have had. Have. Then had is for both. And you don't just use had if you don't have a complex structure. That is had. The reason we call it past of both is the fact that it answers as past perfect. So past perfect tense has to do with where you have two past tenses. That is, two events had happened consecutively in the past. So for an instance, I had eaten. I had eaten before you came. I had eaten before you came. I ate, that is one thing. You came, that is another. So I had eaten before you came. Two sequence of tenses in the past. So that is when you use had. So you cannot use have in that sentence that I have eaten before you came. Because you have two past events. So have will be inappropriate in such kind of aspect. So and when you have just a simple sentence, you cannot have had simply to maybe to act as an actor there. So for instance, you say, I have gone home already. I have gone home already. You cannot replace have with had in that sentence because it is just one thing. It is just one event.
Wow.
You cannot say I had gone home already and stop your sentence. If you use had, you must continue the sentence. That is, something happened maybe before or after or when. So I had gone after he arrived. I had gone after he arrived. Okay, you went, that is one. He arrived, that is two. So two things in the past must have happened before you make use of had. So, but only one thing, maybe in a particular sequence where you use have for plurals and has for singulars.
I'm intimating it, making me thinking what he had just, said to us. I mean, tonight said we're rounding up very soon. I know it's over 1 hour already. So, Mr. Dato, can you please just round up for us? Just touch on little things so we can round up and take questions.
Okay. Yes, I'm going to summarize once again what we had taken and before this time out. So, actually, we started off with the issue of the comprehension passages. Like I said, it is the most technical of the aspects in English. And of course, at the same time, it carries the most mark. So, if you are able to really do your comprehensions well, that is a section of 15 marks already on ground. So
So
now,
the questions in English, right? I know
yes,
they
we
are
have
divided into different parts.
aspect
We talk
parts.
about register,
Talk
comprehension,
about
learning and
comprehension,
structure, and all of that. But then they don't carry the same
they
mark.
don't carry the same marks.
Wow.
So that is why most times you could have answered more questions than I did, but I will have
Score
better
higher.
mark because where I got my own marks are places where you have chunks of mark.
Wow.
So
Wow.
it doesn't really matter. It doesn't really mean that everything is one mark. No, they have more marks.
And
So
I heard it's 60 questions that for
yes,
English.
for all. So now that particular aspect only, because if you have just one comprehension, that means and each after one comprehension you should have 5 questions. So 5 questions, you have 3 marks each. So 15,
Wow.
15 marks on ground already.
Wow.
So that is why you
If you
cannot
can pass all the 5 questions in your comprehension, that's already 15 marks in English.
So and by the time you get to the register is also 2 marks each.
Are
So
you
which is
serious?
close passage.
Are we
That's why
serious?
most of this kind of you it's
And that's where students fail the most.
exactly they really don't know. Most times they come up with and I did the English well. In fact, it looks the simplest. That is why we will see when candidates come out of the exam and say, "Oh, how was the paper?" Say, "Oh, in fact, very fine,
English was-
especially."
But at the end of the day, it was lowest.
So
Wow.
it becomes antonymous to what
Yeah.
they came up with. That
Yeah.
I answered it, and why am I getting this kind of marks? It is because most of these kind of nitty gritties that have not been taken into consideration. You don't just choose questions, you don't just choose your answers and think you are doing it per suitability. Okay, English does not go with how suitable it has to look to your ears.
Yeah.
So most times the
wow.
incorrect ones are the ones that look suitable. So and it's they are general
There was a
errors.
question that trended that got over 500,000 views. I'm
Yes.
trying to let me look for that question.
Okay,
The
so
question that you
mostly
treated.
you hear people say, "Oh, funny enough, maybe so thing didn't happen." Normally the word should be funnily enough, not funny enough.
Wow.
And you hear people say most of the and in fact that is why you have mass failure everywhere, because what you tend there that is correct here, by the time you look at the one that is correct, it is antonymous to what you have on ground.
Yes, so the question that trended, please let's listen to this question.
Okay.
Remember he was saying that some answers might sound suitable in your ears, but they are not correct.
They are not correct.
So for example, let me read out the question that got over 500,000 views and many comments. So he said, remember that this matter is strictly option A, between you and I, option B, among you and I, option C, among you and me, option D, between you and me, and option E, between you and myself. So me, let's assume I don't know Mr. Jado and I've not heard his teaching before. I will choose the answer. I will say, remember this matter is strictly between you and me. But Mr. Jado said that's not the correct answer. The correct answer is between you and I, right? That's the correct answer.
Now, actually, let me retake that again.
Okay.
Okay. Yes, we are talking about prepositions there with the issue of subject and object. Okay. We now say, let this matter be strictly between dash. One, we have personal pronouns where you have subjects and objects. So, me is an objective pronoun. Of course, the other options could have been answered. I think the only one that generated such kind of argument is maybe to be between you and I, you and me. Because it cannot be among. Before you use the word among, you must have more than two. Okay, among is not used for two people. You use between when you have two people. So now we are talking about in that place we are the objects because we have the word between. So between is a preposition, so it should be followed with an objective pronoun. So that is why it was, I think most of those who argued were the one who brought about the issue of you and I. Actually, it should be you and me. That is, let this matter be between you and me. That was why I said, if we expunge the two, it will now become us. Let this matter
True.
be
The correct
between
answer is you and me. Yes, people will
That
choose
is,
you and I.
so by the time you put those two people together,
Yes.
it becomes us. Let it be between us. You cannot say let it be between we.
Yeah.
Because if you had you picked you and I is a subjective pronoun, is a subject. So you cannot have a subject after the preposition. So you cannot say it to he or say it to I. It should be say it to me.
Me.
So that is why it is between you and me. But I say a lot of, but it is because a lot of people do not really get to know why these answers are the answers. Because especially in personal pronouns, they are very common. Where you say, oh, Dr. Ade saw dash. Now say you and I, you and me. It's all kind of expression now. Dr. Ade is the subject. So we actually need an object. Dr. Ade saw you and me. So if you want to know if you had gotten it correctly, remove the you. Because you, both in the subjective form and in the objective form, it is still the same. So remove you. Fix that of I and me first. So could you have said Dr. Ojo saw I? It's not possible. It should have been Dr. Ojo saw me. So now to put it together is Dr. Ojo saw you and me, not Dr. Ojo saw you and I. And it looks more suitable.
I'm waiting.
Okay.
It doesn't matter whether it sounds correct in your ear. There are rules guiding English language.
These are the rules you must follow. So that is why most people had actually picked the wrong options. The wrong options, and that is what we.
Please let's start sending in our questions now. We still have Mr. Jackson for a few more minutes. Send your questions so that I can answer them. Have you come across any questions in English, maybe your past question, or even on our YouTube channel that you don't understand? Please ask the question now so Mr. Jackson can answer for us.
Easily go into that. So most of those kind of things are common. You cannot but come across the pronouns, maybe personal pronouns, all these kind of reciprocal pronouns. Say, okay, the difference between each other, one another, themselves. So most of these kind of things you will see that okay, the couples love dash each other, one another, themselves. So you will see most of these kind of questions, and of course, since they have two people and it's going to reciprocate the action, it's a reciprocal action. It is different from what is reflexive. Had it been it was reflexive action, then you say themselves. But if you say they love themselves, it means the wife loves herself, the husband loves himself. So, but if you are reciprocating the action, it means that is when you say they love each other. Because this love this, and as well this love that. So that is what you look at. There are some reasons those answers are the answers. It is not as if you have to speak it, then how suitable it looks to your ears will now be what will judge your options that will be picked. So that is why most times convincingly you would have known if you have picked the right answers, if you know the reasons behind the options you have picked. So it is that reason that we see your question here.
The JAMB syllabus. I saw something like the Potter's Wheel and the Successor.
No, those
are old. I mean, this was when I was writing JAMB 10 years ago.
No,
that's when they used this
these are old ones.
so the one that you are using now is life changer. You don't need this ones anymore. So discard it.
So most of these kind of things. Then we have, like I said before, setting the question. We have issues of all these kind of comprehension packages, like I said. One, make sure all the paragraphs, each paragraph contains a topic sentence. So there is a particular thing discussed in a particular paragraph. So get that. So the words used should not get you confused because of because by the time they are developing these paragraphs, there are some sort of conjunctive adverbs that will be used, and as well as some subordinating clauses, subordinating conjunctions that will be used. So those kind of words at times keeps you out of touch with the comprehension you have been reading. So don't like I said, it's like though or though, in spite of, nevertheless, despite. At times, by the time they are written in comprehension passages, by the time if questions are now brought and you are asked what is the notion of the speaker or of the writer, then you now draw inferences. Most of these are the words that will deter you from inference, the correct inference to be drawn. So make sure you keep in touch with that. Then, especially the first and last paragraphs as well. So there are things that will join them. There are some connectors. So if it is well written, a well written kind of script, we have the introduction and as well as the conclusion. So do not hinge yourself on. By the time it now goes, so when baby say, oh, what do you mean? Which one is true according to the passage? And at the end of the day, you are picking illustrations rather than the major events in the comprehension. So, like I said as well, some of the rules as well, like in the leases and structural aspect, the Concord, like few of them are touched. Then the question tags as well. So there are some question tags. The ones that are simple may not be brought because we have some simpler ones where you have truly they say when you have a positive statement, you should have a negative question. But we have cases where by the word not, because what differentiates a positive statement from a negative one is the issue of not. For an instance, he is good, that is positive. He is not good, that is negative. So when you have not in a statement, you say the statement is negative. So, but we have instances whereby the word not may not physically be seen in the aspect, in the kind of question you are going to be given. Meanwhile, it means not. So for an instance, I can say, she really comes here. She really comes here. So it means she doesn't usually come. So if you are going to have a question, the question tag that should follow should be positive.
Okay, yes, positive.
It will be positive because the statement is negative, but the word not is not there.
Yeah.
Because that is what most of the candidates look for. Is there not? If they don't see any not, they go immediately to go and choose the answer. He really comes here. So at the end of the day, you see that they choose it. So he really comes here. Does he? So the question will not have not because really, scarcely, hardly, never. These ones are negative items. So when they are used, the question should not have not because they actually mean negative aspect. So then we also have some of those words that change, especially in the modal auxiliaries. For an instance, if need is used, I need to go. I need to go. You also choose an option as to the question that should be used. I need to go. They now say, don't I? Needn't I? And the word need has been used. You know, ordinarily you would have thought that, okay, I need to go. The next question should be needn't I? Meanwhile, it should be don't I? Because need as used there is working like a lexicon. I need to go now. Don't I? That is, don't I need to go?
Wow.
So it isn't as if you are saying needn't I need to go. So there are some of them that work like lexical, like need, then dare. You dare call your father names. You dare call your father names. Will you say daring to you? Or do you? So the daring couldn't have been used as so it's just going to be do. So those are the kind of things because they change. Or I am your father. I am your father. You couldn't have said Amuntai. I'll put Amuntai. I am your father. That's a AMN apostrophe T. That is also, and it's going to be Aren't. It will be Aren't. So those are the kind of things that will later like they bring a lot of confusions because you really want to follow the normal way it has been done that okay, can becomes can't, shall becomes shan't, will becomes won't. So but there are some of them that will change. Ought to Ought to should will later change to shouldn't.
Yeah.
I ought to see him today. Shouldn't
Shouldn't
I?
I?
Rather than saying oughtn't I. So most of these kind of
And
things,
funny enough, they might have those options.
they will
Wow.
not they
Have you
might
seen
they
it?
will
Have
they
you
will
have you
always have the
following?
options. So that
Hmm.
is why you pick most of the wrong options and
Wow. These
happy
are the reasons why people feel
you joyfully pick wrong options. That is why you feel contented after the exam that okay you have
yeah.
actually answered lots of questions. So
Okay, so somebody this person has been asking. He said, please, why are you not teaching IRS? Okay, to answer that question, sincerely, from our opinion and from what we've seen so far, we've not got too many students who are doing IRS, right? So that's why we've not. I mean, you're even the first person I'm seeing that is taking IRS in JAMB. So you wouldn't expect us to divert our attention to that part because many students that we've seen do not really take IRS. So our advice to you would be that you should go online, research, take past questions, read as many, try and read so much on IRS, take past questions on IRS. But for us at the work, we don't have too many students taking IRS. That is why we've not really put in so much effort in that aspect. And we wish you well, we wish you success in your IRS exam. There's another question I'm looking for. Um, God, I can't find that question again. There's a question somebody asked earlier. I can't find the question anymore. L Pixel, you're the one that asked that question. Please ask your first question again so we can answer it. Then said, do we have like a timetable for each day live stream? So usually our live streams are on Mondays. And this might most likely be the last live stream we'll have because before your exam. But if anything changes, we'll let you know. Just stay tuned to our TikTok page. Put on your notifications so you can see when we post new things, and subscribe to our YouTube channel if you haven't already. So somebody says difference between the constant sound and vowels.
okay, I think this person is trying to ask the difference between consonant sounds and vowel
Okay,
sounds.
consonant.
Consonant sounds and vowel sounds. Of course, we are going to have some few questions on this aspect. Normally, you'll be asked to pick some options that contain the same sound as the one represented. So, we really cannot be writing the sound symbols here. So, consonant sounds are made when there is obstruction or blockage of air from the mouth or the vocal cord. That is what you have as a consonant sound. And they are usually brought from the consonant letters we have. So we have the ones that are voiced and the voiceless. So most times, especially the consonant, let me go for the consonant first. Most times the questions that do come here are where they are voiced and voiceless and where they are not pronounced at all because they are prone to being silent at times whereby you are asked to pick for an instance uh, option that contains the same consonant sound with the one underlined. You now have the word pot and P is underlined pot. Then you will be provided with some options that will physically have P but they are not pronounced. So we have cases where this kind of words could come like if P is coming before S or if P is coming before N. So you will see that the P will be silent, like in psychology, in psychedelic, in SAM, psoriasis, or when it is at times written with H, physics, okay, elephant. So in such cases, you see them silent. So it means the only option that will answer there must be an option whereby it is pronounced. So you eschew all others that are. So you have words like pneumonia. Pneumonia, for an instance, starts with P. So, but the P there is silent.
Silent.
So, and we have such kind of, they are very common in consonant sounds where you have more of physically seen but silent letters. So, they are much there. Then going to the vowels. Vowel sounds are also, they are segregated. They are made when there is no blockage of air. Consonant is made when there is blockage or obstruction of air, while vowels are made when there is no obstruction of air from the mouth or the vocal cord. So, and they are segmented as well into different aspects. We have the monophthongs, the diphthongs, and of course at times the triphthongs. So you will see cases where they should be mentioned. Then now the problem is where you have there is a dichotomy at times between the way a word is written and how they eventually become pronounced. So you can see some A being called O in some places. So for instance, where they say, oh, pick an option that contains the same vowel sound as the one underlined. And I now underline the O in pot, the POT, the O there which is pot. And I ask you to pick an option that has the same vowel sound as the one underlined. The options you'll be given may not even have anyone with O, because there are some words whereby the O, like what you have in swamp, the SWAMP is not swamp, it's swamp, or it's a swampy area. So the A there is actually pronounced O, so which can answer as the same as pot. So also in we can have it in E. E can be called O, like what we have in entrepreneur, not enter. The E, the first E is pronounced O there. So the is an I love this entrepreneurship skill. So the pronunciations at times are the things giving problem, whereby ordinarily you could have seen your answer directly, but because there is a kind of dichotomy between the way it is written and the realization. So most of these are the confusing aspects of when it is consonant and vowels.
Yeah. So the final question, please elaborate more on the close test. What was that?
The closed test, that is a register I talked about, which is the closed passage. Like I said once again about the closed text, which is the register. I said they talk about field language. All right. It isn't as if most of the options you are going to be given are not correct. Okay, they are words that have similar meanings, but you are to choose which one should be used in the particular field or context that they are discussing. So you don't just go to choose anyone. For an instance, in agriculture, you can have produce, the farm dash. They can say the farm dash this year. The farm dash this year is not bumper enough. They now say A, produce, B, product, and of which product is used generally in other terms. But in agriculture, it is produce. That's all. We didn't really get enough farm produce this year. So most of these kind of things are what we are talking about. If you are talking medically, there are some languages that must be used. That's okay. Oh, sterilization, yes, screening of blood. The test you carry out tests on the maybe the saliva, then you diagnose, you administer. These are the kind of words that are expected to be used. So of course, in the options given, they will give different options that will relatively mean the same thing, that can easily fit into the gaps. But we are talking about the particular field. If it is in economics, oh, that's okay. What do we term this in economics? And they bring a close passage on economical terms. So we should be conversant with what should be used. That's okay. Are you talking about inflationary gap, deflation, all this stagflation, whatever? So you must be conversant with most of these kind of words. That is why I said if you can get vocabularies on each item of fields, especially before your exams. So whereas in most of our videos, we are still going to do a lot of them. So that is why you would really need you to actually join more and to tell your friends and others. So that later, but at least before you write your UTME, which is starting this week, so perhaps whatever you know you can do when it comes to the closed passage issue, you can easily get some vocabularies on each term or each field. So what I used there, because it is different from what is used in the ordinary sense.
Normal, yeah.
It isn't as if you are outrightly incorrect, but that is not what should
What
be
you are being
used
asked.
to use.
But sometimes you are being asked a different question. You are answering something else.
So like I said then, I said, oh, if you say, oh, you have to give me my respect. You know, ordinarily, it isn't as if you are being completely incorrect,
Even
but you are
on a
not
normal
correct.
day, we speak that English.
That is what
You don't give
that
me
is
respect.
respect. Meanwhile, you don't give respect, you accord it.
Yeah.
That, oh, why don't you accord me my respect? That is the normal term that should be used. So by instance, so I would have told you the truth, but you didn't give me a dash to speak. Now say a chance to speak, a privilege to speak, an opportunity to speak, a room to speak, a room to speak. Okay, a room to speak. You didn't give me a room to speak. So room there does not mean the four corner room where you live.
Yeah.
So if you had given me enough room to speak, I would have told you the truth. So why we have the word chance?
Everybody will choose chance.
Chance now.
Everybody will choose
It's not
chance.
give
It's not
me,
correct.
so which is not correct. So in our daily kind of routine and expressions, we do come face to face with most of these kind of things. So and by the time you get along with them, you discover that they have been wrong all the while. So
Wow, this brings us to the end of today's session. Please, I want to see in the comments. Did you enjoy Mr. Jato's session today? Tell us in the comment section. Want to see your thank yous, want to see your appreciations. Please put it in the comment section. We are rounding up. We've spent close to 2 hours here. Let us know in the comments if you got value. Is there a lesson for computer science? No, we don't have computer. We are dealing with JAMB subjects. Just all the subjects in JAMB. Jeremiah, thank you. Priska, thank you. Let us know. Let us see your thank you. Let's appreciate Mr. Jato. You can clap your hands. You can type out thank you. Tonight's session has really been, valuable. Even me that is not writing JAMB, I got so much value from everything that was shared here today. I want to see your thank you. Keep typing the thank you. Keep clapping for us. And if you've not subscribed to our YouTube channel, please subscribe to our YouTube channel. We might not get the opportunity to do this live again. That's why we gave out our best. And we are directing you to our YouTube channel. It's still the same spelling. The same way it is spelled on TikTok. That's how it is spelled on YouTube as well. So just go to YouTube, search for The Rock Tutors. Ensure you subscribe to our channel and find time to watch these videos. Everything Mr. Jato has said here today has already been explained on our YouTube channel. So we can't wait to hear your success story. Remember, when you check our page, you see Tomiwa's story. Tomiwa scored 331 in JAMB. So don't allow anybody lie to you. It is possible to score 300 in this year's JAMB. And that's why Draw Tutors is here for you. That's why we are doing everything we are doing to see that you are successful in this JAMB 2024. We can't wait to hear your success story. So congratulations in advance. Once again, thank you, sir. You want to take a word for them? Yeah.
I wish you well in your forthcoming exams. Then even apart from the exams, there is a need be for you to actually be up and doing, whereby there is no kind of excuse for speaking wrong expressions and So apart from the jam, you are still going to need most of these things in your daily activities.
Yeah.
By the time you get admission, even there are some that will still want to write some international exams and others. So these are the things that you will be highly needful to you. So I wish you best of luck.
So those that gave us gifts, thank you. We saw your gifts. Thank you. Thank you, everybody. We wish you well. And we can't wait to hear your success story. This brings us to the end of today's session. My name is still Janet. And thank you so much, Mr. Jato Abdulrahman. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
So bye, everybody. See you some other time. Bye. Good night.